Welcome to good afternoon. Welcome to the Action Drug Rehab Hour. My name is Cary Quashen. I am your host, and as always, I'm glad to be here, and I hope everybody's having a terrific Monday. I had a great weekend. Robbie Robinson's with me. He co-hosts the show with me at times, and it's always a pleasure to have him here. How was your weekend, Robbie?
It was great. Just training and conditioning the kids, getting them ready for competition.
You're doing that, and I'm at the ranch catching rattlesnakes.
I know that's right. I saw the hay. Say.
No, really, guys, be careful out there. I was at the ranch yesterday, and I actually told my kid, I said, I'm going to go catch a rattlesnake, and he said, okay. And 10 minutes later, I came back with a rattlesnake.
How about that?
They're out there. Be careful, and know that they have a purpose.
Yeah, they do.
So if they're there, either leave them alone or call somebody that will move them. There's no reason to kill them. So when I catch them, I move them.
Right.
Yeah, definitely watch for your animals.
Yeah,
your animals will go after them.
Exactly. No, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Every year I hear of it, at least a few dogs that get bit by rattlesnakes, and I know that I think Placer Rita does it or someone, but they have a rattlesnake clinic for dogs, so that you can protect them, and also you can get a vaccine for them because it's you don't want your animals getting bit. On that note, Robbie, you know what? We got a good show today. We always do, though, don't we?
We always have one. You're the master of ceremonies.
Is that right?
You
Well, I've
are.
been called a lot. That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's the
the
first.
master
I
of
think. Is that a first? Maybe.
I like it.
But I'm going to start with, let's talk about recovery for a second, then we'll get into your guys' story.
Sure.
I mean, recovery is, in order for somebody to get clean and sober, usually it's got to be some kind of a life-changing event where worlds get shattered a little bit and people get scared, or we get those ultimatums from people that love us, our families, our kids, our bosses, whatever it is, probation officers or whatever, and it's one of those kind of things where do it or else.
Right.
So, but the hardest part about getting sober, and you guys can help me, I wanted to hear your story, but it's interesting because people comes to rehabs, I guess what I'm saying, for a lot of different reasons. They come to rehabs because their wife said to, or their mom said to, or their husband said to, or their boss, like we just said. But most of the time, people don't go to rehab actually to really get clean and sober. They come to rehab to stop doing what it is that got them there. If it's tequila, for instance, they say, well, my problem is tequila. I can smoke weed because I don't like weed. Mm-hmm. If it's an opiate, well, my problem is opiates. I can drink.
Right.
So the hardest part about somebody coming into rehab is convincing them that they have an addictive personality, that if they switch from tequila to weed, they could definitely have a problem with weed, and if not, the weed will probably bring them back to the tequila. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of one of those kind of things that I keep telling people. If you don't drink and you don't use nothing, your life will be better. If you drink or use anything, it's the definition of being insane. You're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting it to be different, but knowing really inside it's never going to be different. It's always going to be the same or worse. So it's kind of like I always tell people, it's like Let's Make a Deal. Remember Let's Make a Deal?
I do.
I love that show.
I remember that.
But let's make a deal. Let's make a deal with life. Mm-hmm. There's door number 1 and there's door number 2. Door number 1 you've been through. Yep. Door number 1 means heartache, spiritual disaster, financial headaches, family crisis, self-esteem and suicidal issues. So we know that's there. And then we have door number 2. Door number 2 doesn't mean you're going to live every day great. But it does mean that everything that has to do with that alcohol and drug crisis goes away. Like that. Everything that drinking and drugs cause are not there anymore. Because the culprit is what? Drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But when an alcoholic or an addict comes in, the last thing they want to blame is
themselves.
Alcohol or drugs.
Alcohol and drugs.
Because it's been their buddy for so long. And you know what? I'm going to agree. I'm recovering. You know that. I've been clean and sober 42 years. But at first, it was my friend. It made me feel good. I had good friends. I could talk to girls better. My confidence was there until it turned on me. Once alcohol and drugs turns on you, guess what? It could never be your friend again.
Well, drug addiction's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yep.
It is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Like you said earlier, you start feeling good, everything is hunky-dory. And Bobby Womack had a song, Nobody Wants You When You're Down and Out.
That's right.
So
Great
that was a great song that he made, and that can go, especially when people are addicted. You know, the other thing about addiction is once you start really getting into recovery, there are boundaries. You start learning boundaries, personal boundaries and mental boundaries. So this is what goes on when you decide, okay, I really want to get well. And there I have somebody right now, a parent whose son is really heavily addicted. Cary and I have reached out to them, and she wanted to do what they see on television where we go and sit and talk. I said, he's not going to do that. I said, so now he's staying with his grandmother, and now he's taken over the house. And I tried to speak with the grandmother, Cary and I tried to speak with her. She didn't want to have anything to do with me because I'm working for the sheriffs. And I told her that I'm not there to arrest. I'm there to give you and offer you services.
Right.
And she refuses. So now the guy, her grandson, is continuing on with his addiction.
Yeah. So, but that door number 2, all that stuff goes away. Because here's what happens. We drink. And perfect. This is a good way to get right into where I want to go. But here's what happens. We drink.
Right.
We get sober. We remember all the terrible things that we did or happened to us when we were drinking. And the only thing that we know how to do to feel better is what?
Drink.
But then we drink. And what happens? We do more terrible things and we feel more guilty. And the only thing that's going to make us feel better is what?
Drink.
But does it really work? No, because we drink and we do more things, and it's that vicious cycle that we never stop. What?
The shame circle.
The shame circle, exactly. This is Mikey, by the way, and this is Shell.
Hi.
And you're going to hear their story in a moment. But so that vicious cycle keeps coming, and we keep trying to numb ourselves because we don't want to feel the guilt, shame, or hurt that we have or we cause or we feel.
Exactly.
Problem is, the alcohol and the drugs stop working. And then we keep trying to get it to work, but it doesn't. And then we use more, and it still don't, and more, and more. And you want to take over, Shell?
And it doesn't
Would
work.
you like to take over? Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Shell. Big time drinker. And enjoyed it at first. It was just,
That's not a lie to anyone.
You know?
Alcohol and drugs at first make you feel great.
Right.
Right? I mean, that works.
It's like, ooh, I feel really good, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm not one just to have a drink and enjoy that feeling. I'm one to, I'm going to have even more fun. So I drink and I drank and I drank. And just like you were saying, I ended up not drinking just to have fun. You drink to succumb feelings, to not remember things, to unfortunately stay away from people. It's an unfortunate situation. You back off of everyone.
Well, alcoholism and drug addiction is a disease of loneliness.
Yeah,
That's true.
It is.
And an alcoholic or an addict alone is in bad company.
Yeah.
Because our brain just doesn't work normally. So we get into that depressed state. And
Right.
alcohol, by the way, is a depressant. So if we're depressed and we drink, we actually get more depressed.
And that makes that big circle again. The circle of what? Shame.
You become a lone wolf.
Yeah. So
You
we
definitely
met
become
how
a
long
lone
ago?
wolf.
Oh my goodness.
Tell our story, and then we're going to
Our
hear
story?
from Mikey, which I'm really proud of, by the way. I'm proud of both of you.
Well, I've known you for a long time. I've known you since, I don't know, 2000, or I've known you for a long time. But I came to visit you and stay in your place in 2019.
You mean you wanted to move in and hang out with us?
Yeah, right.
That's what you meant.
Well, yeah, sure. No, I wanted to get sober. I honestly wanted to get sober because my life was out of control.
Tell us about it.
I'm a mean drunk. So
Is she mean?
I am a mean drunk.
40% of the time.
40%. You know,
When she's drunk.
You would definitely know that, huh?
Yeah, she's nice to me, but it's like other people.
Uh-oh.
No, I just unfortunately, I had a lot of things in my life that I drank for, and I gave myself a reason to drink because of all these things that have happened to me. You know, it's a woe is me situation. When I drank, it was, I feel sorry for myself.
That's because it's a depressant, and now
Yeah.
you're going to feel even
Now I'm
worse.
gonna feel sorry for, and then
And blame the whole freaking world.
Exactly. And I'd go to the liquor store and I'd buy extra liquor so I wouldn't drink and drive to get more liquor, okay? But I would drink all that liquor. I would drink it. If it was there, if there's liquor there, I'll drink it. I don't care how sick or
You're not
gross
gonna
I
stop,
feel.
right?
It's just there. It needs to be gone. And then I would end up, going to the liquor store again. And so it was just a horrible, terrible thing. People don't, you lose your friends. You don't care. You just don't care. You lose your friends, your husband. I didn't lose my husband, thank God. I've been blessed with Kevin.
I think we should probably give him a plaque.
He needs a plaque, a couple.
Kevin, did you hear that? We're going to get a plaque for you.
But and then your children are looking at you and they're seeing you do things, and it's not something that you're real proud of doing, but at that time you don't care.
Right. In fact, it gives you more fuel to drink more.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then there you're in
It's
that
like, poor me,
circle again.
nobody understands, nobody loves me. I shouldn't be here anyways.
Right.
And, let me drown myself in my sorrows in this bottle.
Right. So and so it was either I go to rehab or I lose my family. So thank goodness we had known you, and I was able to go to your facility, which is awesome because everybody that works there just they back you up. They're there for you. It's just a very comfortable atmosphere where you can get off of what you're on and feel comfortable and start over in a sense.
Didn't I keep you like forever that last time? One of the times.
The last
one of the
time
times
you
I
did.
just
The first time was a month.
We just didn't discharge you. We just kept you.
The first time was a month,
did.
and that was in 2019, and in 21, I was there for 3 months.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go home.
If the staff said, "What do you want us to do?" I said, "Just keep her." But they said, "But the insurance isn't covering." I said, "Just keep her." Right?
Yeah, it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth. And, I didn't want to go home. I would cry when we'd have our Thursday night meetings and family was there, and I would cry. I don't want to go home because I lost the ability to rely on myself through my addiction. And I knew, in my head, I would do it again. But being at Action and you're told that you can do this. You're taught how AA is incredibly important. A sponsor is incredibly important, and if a person follows what you all teach there, they can become sober.
Let's get it straight. I want everyone to hear this right now. Anybody and everybody can get clean and sober.
Absolutely.
If you want it bad enough.
That's it.
If you don't, and
Absolutely.
you're not willing, here's the deal. When you're drinking and using, you're willing to die to drink and use.
Absolutely.
You don't care. In order to get clean and sober, you got to be willing
Really,
to
there you
die
go.
to be
That's-
clean and
that's
sober.
it.
It's got to be your number one priority in life over your kids,
Over.
over your boss, over your husband or wife, over anything, because without that sobriety, you're going to lose it all anyway.
That's
Well,
right.
it has to be for you.
Yes.
It has to be
But
for
you
yourself.
know what? Yes. But you know what? Most people don't come in because they want to do it for them. I don't care why you do it at first.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you're doing it because you don't want to get arrested, you don't want to go to a psych hospital, you don't want to be psychotic, you don't want to lose your husband, your dog's mad at you. I don't really give a crap.
Right.
As long as you come in and do it, I believe if you bring the body long enough, the mind will eventually follow.
It does.
And sometimes it takes more than one time,
Mm-hmm.
as someone
I
will
know.
be glad to share.
But it feels good, and that's what's so scary. It is scary because when you become sober at first, and things are starting to go really good. You're feeling good about yourself. You're feeling great about your surroundings, and then all of a sudden, it's almost like the cartoon. You have the devil on one shoulder, you have the angel on the other.
Devil's loud, isn't it?
Oh man, that devil just
The
whips
angel-
his little
the
tail
the
around.
angel just
and-
kind of whispers.
and
at
she's
first.
like, honey, right? But you've got this fight inside of you that's saying, oh, I got to stay straight. I can't do that. And then there's another person in you that says, you know what, just golly jeepers, just one. Don't be stupid.
Nobody will
Just
know.
one.
I can handle it.
Yeah, no one's going to know. And you know what? Just have one. Ha ha ha. Right? So, and that's, yeah,
What happens
it
when
doesn't.
you just have one? It clicks that little switch.
Yeah, and then you're like, okay, I'll have another one. But before you know it, you're just kind of, it's wrong again. Again, it's wrong. You're in the same round circle that goes around, and you're giving yourself reasons why you need that next drink or you need that next whatever it is, because it's almost ingrained inside of you on that part of you.
How do
Well,
you
it's
stay,
like in.
how do you stay sober every day? How do you do it?
It's one day at a time.
Yes.
And it's you just gotta want it. You gotta keep yourself busy, and don't things that become a problem during that day is not a reason to go to something. So just fix it. Fix it. If you got a problem, figure out a way to fix it, because going back to a substance is not going to do it. It's going to take you right back. You're going downhill.
Especially if you have a head full of recovery and then you go out and drink, because then the guilt is so bad.
And you got your family there, and it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And you're letting them down again. You know? Letting yourself down, number one.
When you have a problem with anything, drinking, drugs, anxiety, anger, whatever it is always is going to affect everyone that we love and everyone that loves us, because they're watching the struggle.
Absolutely.
And it's like I was talking to somebody the other day, and this is the best way I can explain it. If you love somebody and they're drinking or using drugs, it's like you're in a marriage and somebody just cheated. That's how the person feels, like that betrayal thing inside, because they can't understand why they just won't stop. They don't understand the disease part of this and how our brains work a little bit different than other people's. Mm-hmm. I knew when I got clean, I knew that I had no more excuses. I couldn't think of one more excuse to drink or use. I knew it.
Right.
I just didn't know how to deal with it. But I did it, like you said, one day at a time. This Christmas will be 43 years, one day at a time.
Excellent.
And yeah, I had to deal with a lot of stuff, and I had to learn how to deal with stuff because I didn't know how to do it. I drowned myself with drugs and alcohol.
Exactly.
That's how I dealt with it. And when it stopped working, I was really in trouble. because then I couldn't get clean and I couldn't get sober.
Right.
Until I got sober.
There's a saying, real quick, and I know you want to go on. There's a saying in boxing: don't try to understand everything. Learn how to deal with it.
Yeah.
That's the key. Knowledge, learning how to deal.
And Robbie, people say that to me all the time. Why do they do what they do? I said, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Right now, how about we just figure a way to help them
Dealing
stop
with
doing
it.
what you're
That's
doing.
right.
And we'll worry about why later.
That's right.
When we come back, we're going to hear a little bit more from you and then a lot more from Mikey. You're listening to the Action Drug Rehab Show here on KHTS. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Action Drug Rehab Hour. I'm Cary Quashen. I'm your host. I have my co-host hanging out with me today, Mr. Robbie Robinson.
Thank you.
One of our he's actually an intervention specialist for the Santa Clarita Sheriff's Department and helps lots of people. So I appreciate everything you do, Robbie Robinson.
Thank you.
Shell, before we went on break, you were telling kind of your story.
Right.
Just a 2-minute recap, and then I want you to introduce Mikey.
Well, I just want to let everybody know that, if you go to AA, there's a lot of times that you feel that you're not normal. I don't know what normal is, but, people look at us differently because we have an addiction of some sort. And going to AA meetings and things like that, everybody's the same. So there's no differentiating in there.
Nobody's judging anybody.
No judging, and there's really cool people in there that you can make friends with. You're able to give them a call if you have a problem, because that's real important. If you start thinking, well, I'm gonna have a drink. If you have someone to call and talk to, it's so much. I call you.
You know what? I'm gonna leave it alone, but. Do me a favor.
Yes.
Call first.
Yeah, okay.
Not after. And you know exactly what I mean.
I do.
So I'm going to leave it alone. You want to share, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. But,
A couple days ago,
Uh-oh.
Saturday night, I got mad at somebody and I was all alone, and I decided to walk down to the market and buy a tall seltzer. And I drank the whole thing, and I felt horrible.
Oh, that's just a shame.
Horrible.
Can you see the blood dripping down my shirt? I feel so bad.
But you know what? I got up that next morning, and I told people. I called Cary, and I said, and I didn't feel sorry for myself. That's the whole thing. Is I did not feel sorry for myself. I was like, oh my gosh, Shell, you're such a silly girl.
The first thing I said was, number one, don't feel sorry for yourself.
Right.
Keep your head out of where the sun don't shine, and get right back to it. Because the bottom line, it's not what you did, it's what you do.
Exactly.
And what you did, okay, you did it. Now what are you going to do?
Yeah. And I gave people a call. I called you, my tough guy, and I'm fine. I'm good.
You know what
I'm
fine means?
Sober.
Freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. You're good. Not fine.
Okay, I'm good.
So introduce Mikey.
This is my son, Mikey. I love him so much. He's a great guy. And he's just, he's going to give you a story.
My name is Mikey. I'm definitely an alcoholic. I'm currently in a treatment center. I have 40 days clean from.
That is so freaking awesome.
Thank you.
No, really. I mean, I can't tell you how proud I am of the day you walked in and we talked.
Yeah.
And you made a decision to come into treatment. I couldn't be more proud of you.
For sure. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was the best thing I could do. And I had exhausted all my other avenues. Like, the life I'd set up for myself before had no backup plan. I lost my place of living. I lost my job, even my place of living in my car. My car broke down. Everything had been stripped from me. And my family was really worried about me. And I actually had a lot of resentment towards my family because I had probably about 5 months away from alcohol when all this was happening to me. So in my head, everything was like, I had my mentality together. It was just everything else that wasn't working out. But reflecting back on it, like nothing was working out. And
you were very paranoid for the first couple of weeks.
oh yeah, until still.
Where did that come from?
When I stopped drinking alcohol, on October 25th of 2022, because I wanted to start making better choices in my life. I wanted to create memories with my family that I actually remember, that they would actually remember. There was stuff like that. There was all that. That was my driving force to get sober. And I started, my withdrawals have always been horrible for the past 4 or 5 years. I woke up every single day retching. My mom will attest to that.
From the alcohol.
From alcohol.
Very dangerous. Without medical attention, if you really have an alcohol problem, 30-something% will die.
Mm.
You can have seizures, convulsions, and get really, really sick. So go on.
Yeah, that was my life for years, just throwing up until I got myself to a liquor store so I could drink just enough alcohol to get me to work, not drunk and not throwing up and stuff like that. So once I got, bless you, once I got off of the alcohol, the withdrawals were still there. I started treating myself with over-the-counter drugs. I started with kratom, which is
a terrible drug.
Terrible drug.
And people, it's how do you even explain it? They call it organic, and they say that it has
a synthetic opioid.
But it's synthetic opioid, and the withdrawals are the same exact withdrawals as you would come off of heroin.
And your tolerance builds so rapidly fast that you're just buying more. And so once that stopped working for me, I switched to dextromethorphan, which is a cough suppressant, but it's a dissociative drug, and I was using that. And then I started. I've always been a pothead my whole entire life. It's been something that is like the background music to my calmness because I'm extremely high strung. For a couple months, I had everything together. I had the car, I had a place to stay, a nice place to stay. I had a job that was sustainable. I had a decent amount of money in my bank, and all those things slowly started to disappear. And it didn't happen to me in my alcoholism. It's when I chose to stop drinking the alcohol that everything started to go even crazier, that didn't make any sense to me. And I felt like up here I was doing well because I wasn't blacking out every single day or blacking out to fall asleep for 3 hours and wake up and drink the rest of my alcohol and stuff like that. And I ended up getting in a fight with the person I was living with, and just immediately grabbing all of my clothes, all of my belongings, tossing them into my small little car. And I lived in my car for a month or so. I just was coping with mostly weed. I had started doing like dabs and concentrates and shit.
Dabs is terrible, man. You know what? I have to say that in the last year or so, I put almost more people from THC psychosis in psych hospitals than I have crystal meth. It's crazy right now.
What was that called, Cary?
Dabbing. He'll explain that to you.
Dabbing. Dabs is it's like a concentrated oil. They take the THC out of the flower and they put it into an oil, and it comes out as an oil, and then you just high powered smoke it. And
it's 100% THC.
Yeah, it's close into 90 to 100, and I didn't know that marijuana psychosis was a thing, and I can't say. Besides the rehabs that I've been to in the past, I haven't been away from marijuana this long. This isn't the longest I've had away from marijuana. I've had 120 days away from marijuana before but I didn't have the psychosis that I got when I got off of the concentrates and stuff. And I used it to replace the liquid courage that alcohol used to give me. I used to just get really. I would smoke a lot and smoke till you choke, and then that choking process, I would come out of it and be like, okay, let's just seize the day. And I didn't realize how much it was affecting me. And then not having the alcohol, not having the other like over-the-counter drugs that I was doing, I was just trying to do it with the concentrates, and there's so many hours in a day, like literally so many hours in a day.
Tell me this: the job you had, was it a high stressful job?
No, not really. I worked at the Valencia Mall in
And
retail.
what happens is when you smoke that much THC,
Right.
and you drink and you're using Dexy and all that other stuff that he was using,
combined.
it creates psychosis.
Yeah.
And also, when you're doing all that stuff, you don't eat right.
Yeah.
So now you're becoming what?
Fat?
Huh?
Wait, what?
No, when you don't eat a lot, what happens?
Oh, malnourishment.
You get malnourished.
Oh, no, 100%.
Malnutrition.
And then now your whole body's going through all kinds of craziness. And when they legalize pot, they legalize marijuana. What do? You smoke marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
But what they've now done is they've created all kinds of different stuff. So it's not these 0.3 milligrams of THC or even 30 milligrams of THC. It's 100 milligrams.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is not smoking weed anymore. This is a psychedelic more than anything.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that do? It creates psychosis.
Yeah.
But you've really come a long way.
Thank
I
you.
mean, and from where you were to now, I hope you're as proud of yourself as we are of you.
Proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm more excited for like what's coming of sobriety than I am afraid of like with a relapse, because like I don't want it to be a part of my story. I know that life throws curveballs and shit like that. Excuse me, sorry. Life throws curveballs, and I'm afraid of that, but I don't want to be coping with a substance at all. It's just I came in to learn healthy habits that people do in sobriety.
How?
The biggest thing you got to do, the most important thing you got to do, is stick close to your friends that are clean, go to some meetings, get your sponsor, and stay away from people using.
Mhm.
Because
Right.
we have the only disease that will trick us into believing we can do it again. And it will be different this time, even though we know it won't.
There's a saying that I heard when I was coming up as a young kid. You know, a good friend will offer you something to eat before he offers you something to drink. Anybody that offers you alcohol or drugs when you first meet him, you can't trust him. That was told to me when I was a teenage kid, a youngster, you know, getting into boxing and karate, and my coaches were telling me. And a lot of that stuff, as Cary said, was prevalent around me where I grew up in D.C. But thank God I chose a different path. But hearing your story, and you speaking, it's going to educate someone else that is in that same situation and in that same predicament. And by you opening up like this, it's a catharsis for you. It's helping you. It's helping you to move forward. 40 days is great. Come on
man,
now.
isn't it?
40 days. Come on now. You know, that's like just about
Hey,
almost
Robbie,
2 months.
when I was getting
Close to
clean
2
and
months.
somebody came in and said, I got 10 years before, well, yeah, right, they probably smoke weed in the bathroom.
right.
But when somebody came in and said, I got 7 days or 3 days or 40 days, I went, whoa.
That's an effort.
That's
a
cool.
major effort.
How did they do that? That's what gave me hope. More than somebody that had all those years. Because they just couldn't have been as bad as, or they, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but if
40
you
is
can do
great.
it,
Yeah.
people watching you right now or listening, they can do it. What
Yeah.
message do you have to them? People that are listening to you right now saying, wow, how do you do it? What do you say?
Get out of your head. It's a dangerous place. Find the best things in the people around you, and I don't know, want those things for yourself. That's what I've been doing. I just pick up on a lot of the things. I'm with 8 other people in a house. I see the good things in them, and I'm like, oh, that's something I can pick up from them. That's a huge part of it. It's finding trudging buddies and people to hold you accountable. If you have somebody who has a date around your date, you don't want to lose your date. You know what I mean? Not that it's a competition, but
Right.
it's definitely something to keep in your head. You'd have to start over at day 1. I used to convince myself that it was just a number. But that number feels a lot better when it's 74, 75 days than it is when it's 1 day or
Yeah.
23 hours. Or
Plus, you're a light of a glow of hope for some people
That's
right.
right.
now, man. They can look at you and say, wow, how did you do it?
That's right.
If you can do it, I can do it. And right now, the drugs out there, people are dying.
It's crazy.
Oh, you've seen it.
crazy.
You see what we have to deal with at Action. You know, it's terrible.
Yeah.
So right now, I mean, experimenting with any drug right now it's a death warrant, man.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and there's so much of the fentanyl just going around. Everybody who has different addictions, they're like, oh yeah, one time I bought a bag of pills and it ended up being fentanyl and it put me in the hospital and I suffered from suicidal hallucinations or like suicidal ideation and stuff like that. So the fentanyl, it's everywhere. Yeah, you know? And it can even be in stuff.
I mean, sincerely, fentanyl, it'll kill you.
Yeah, it will.
It'll kill you.
What would have happened if you lost them? What would you? How?
Oh no.
That's your kid.
I've lost my eldest. I couldn't lose Mikey. No way. No.
Our family went into like a bad spiral after Brittany passed. I couldn't imagine. Like that was my thing. I've had suicidal ideations. I would never act on it because I know the effect that sudden loss has on a family. And
When was that?
2013.
What happened?
Well, she crashed into a tree and died from blunt force trauma on Sand Canyon on her way home from an outing with friends.
And we figure she was drinking.
It's so sad, but you know what? You guys got each other now.
Yeah.
And if you both stay sober, what a freaking miracle. Think about that, man. Mom and son, and your daughter's sober too.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. I'm so proud of her too. Oh, goodness gracious.
Talk to her. She's, I'm sure, going to be
Kelsey Lou. Hey, I love you. I'm very proud of you, girl. Very proud of you.
You did good, Mom.
Oh, I mean, I talk to her every day.
I know,
Like it's not something that you
So
say.
when you bring her up on
really
the radio
quick.
and she gets to watch it, it's a little different.
No, it's really nice to be able to call her and talk to her every single day. And we remember the stuff we say to each other. We constantly send each other affirmations. It's something that I really appreciate. I have check-ins with every single one of my family members
That's awesome.
every single day.
That is so cool. By the way, he told me some good news today.
What?
Oh, that I got a job. Oh, she.
I know she knows.
I
I want people to hear.
Yeah, I got a job at the Salvation Army, and it's doing. I love thrifting, so I'm very excited about that.
So now you're going to go to the Rose Bowl swap meet with us.
Oh, I would love that. Yeah, Rose Bowl swap meet. It's amazing.
Isn't it
But
cool?
yeah, I'm just really grateful that they gave me a job.
So you've been sober 40-something days. You got a job. Things are coming back. Your mind's coming back. Your mom's sober.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And she's going to stay that way, or you're going to call me and you know what I'm going to do.
I am.
Crack down.
Yeah, really hard.
Well, now we're hoping to get Mikey into sober living.
Yeah.
You know, so that he has some accountability still.
Right. And I got some, we'll talk more about that. I got some great ideas for that. But, I mean, I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't be. What do you want to say to her?
Thank you so much. Honestly, when you dropped me off at the Action House, I had a lot of resentment towards you because I'd been so far away from alcohol, but I didn't realize that even without the alcohol, I was causing so much strife in you guys' life. And even Dad said at one of the family meetings the other night, he was like a month ago, he was so almost impossible to be around, and I didn't see that for myself. So I thank you, and I love you so much. I mean, I tell you every single day. You're the first person I call.
Of you.
All right, go give him a hug.
Give me hugs, boo boo. I love you so much. So proud of you. Very proud of you.
I lost my seat.
It's been stolen.
Hi, I'm Cary.
On that note, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Action Drug Rehab Hour. Welcome back to the Action Drug Rehab Hour here on KHTS, your hometown station, my hometown station. Wow, you guys, you're incredible. I mean, this is a...
Oh, yes.
I know that the other day you called me when we were going to do the show, and then you had your little hiccup, and you weren't sure that you wanted to do it, but once you told everybody, you felt a little bit better, and, we're as sick as our secrets. When we get rid of our secrets and we spit them out or throw them up and make them go away, and we start healing. It's when we keep our secrets, we stay stuck, and the guilt and shame becomes worse.
Living in the past is dangerous for your future.
That's right. Say that again.
Living in the past is dangerous for your future.
Absolutely.
So when you call back and we talked and I said, I still want you to come on, I think this is a great idea. And I mean, it shows courage. So you are doing a whole lot better than you think you're doing.
Well, I'm telling you, my stupid decisions are getting farther and farther apart, which is feels so good.
Yeah. You know, you guys never have to drink again or use. You just do it one day at a time, and you don't drink or use anything no matter what that day, period. And we've got to remember, we're going to go through funky times, depressions and stuff like that, because for many years, we convinced our brain that it doesn't need to produce the chemicals that make us feel good because we get them from an outside source. So we tricked our brain not to make that stuff. So getting clean, your brain now has to relearn how to do that. So it's going to be a struggle. There's going to be hard times. People are going to piss you off. You're going to want to drink.
Right.
You know, it is normal for somebody in recovery to dream about getting high or drunk, to think about it, to crave it, to obsess on it, sometimes even that. Yeah, it won't hurt you. The only thing that'll hurt you is doing it. As long as I don't drink or use anything today, my life will be better than it was for sure. And that's a fact. And how do we learn how to deal with feelings? By dealing with them. Every time you deal with a feeling that somebody pissed you off or hurt you, you get stronger.
Right.
Every time you share something, sometimes sharing some grief stuff makes you feel worse at the moment, but it gets you stronger.
Absolutely.
And because life's for the living, although people say, you know what, I feel all this guilt and shame and grief or whatever it is, and time heals all. That's not true.
That's right.
Time doesn't heal all. What time does is it allows us to be able to deal with it and go on with our lives. That's what time does.
100%, yeah. It requires the footwork.
And life's for the living. A great friend of mine lost her daughter. And 2 days later came to, instantly, and broke her leg and had an aneurysm and died. 2 days later she came to work and I said to her, what are you doing here? And she says, I'm dying inside, but life's for the living, and I gotta show up to life. I gotta keep going. And you guys got a lot of great stuff in your lives. You got a husband that loves and supports you. You got a dad that loves and supports you. You got a son that loves and supports you. You got a mom that loves and supports you. You got a sister, tell her she owes me $1, but she loves and supports all of you guys. You know, and you got a lot of people that really care about you guys. You know, and the great thing is I'm seeing you guys starting to care about yourself. That's what makes me happy. I'll never forget when I was first getting clean, I saw a sign where I was in rehab, right? And it said, let us love you until you can love yourself. I didn't get that. It took me months to figure out exactly what that meant. Because when we first come around to programs, we don't come into rehabs and programs because life's good. We come because life's bad and we don't really think really highly of ourselves. But the way to forgive yourself, the way to feel better, is to stop doing the stuff that makes you feel bad. That's how you forgive yourself. If taking a drink every few months makes you feel bad, don't do it anymore. Then you automatically start respecting and loving yourself more. So I'm super proud of both of you guys. I am, and this was a great show, and I know that people listening are going to get a lot of hope today, and that's what this show is about. I'm going to bring you both on in 6 months.
Excellent.
I want them to hear that. Anything you want to say to your dad? We left him out.
Oh, Dad, thank you for being like the strong glue that keeps this family together. We love you so much.
Anything you want to say to your husband?
Love you, Slump. You are so awesome.
What'd you call him?
Honestly. Slumpy. Everybody calls him Slumpy because it's our last name. Kind of.
I was just saying, not your last name. I know what your last name is.
Kind of our last name.
It's kind of.
But everybody calls him that. But thanks, Kev. You're awesome. Thank you so much for your support.
And also to the people listening. I mean, thank you for listening. And this is a message we want to pass out there. So make sure you share it because there's always hope.
You can do it. You can do it. Put your mind to it, and you can do it.
There's always hope. You know, it's like there's a million people out there that want this kind of a program. They want to get clean. They want to get sober. They're not because they don't want it. They need it, but they don't want it. Hey, and most of the time they don't want it because they're afraid of it. Don't be afraid, man. Reach out for help. If call me. If I can't help you, I promise you I'll find someone that can, or somewhere that can.
Help
I
is
promise
there,
you that.
for
That's
sure.
right.
So reach out. Know that you're not alone. Know that there's people out there that do care about you. And hey, look at these 2 miracles.
Yes. With more days of sobriety coming.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
And that note, last call for anything you want to say, or I'm closing the show.
Well, it's been great being here. Thank you so much, Cary. You've been huge in our family. In our whole family, you have been huge.
I've known you for many years.
I love
Since I was
and I
15.
love
Since
Action.
you were 15. How old are you now?
30.
That's right.
Yeah.
15 years.
I went to the St. Paul House when I was 15.
Yeah, you went to our adolescent rehab 15 years ago. Yeah, shut up, listen back then.